Do phrasal verbs still confuse you in English?
Do you understand the main verb, but then a small word like up, out, or off changes the whole meaning?
Then this lesson is for you.
Today, we're going to make phrasal verbs much easier to understand.
First, you'll hear a natural dialogue.
Then we'll explain the main ideas in a simple way and show you how to learn them more effectively.
Let's get started. Today's topic is one of the biggest problems for English learners.
Yes, definitely. A lot of people are comfortable with normal verbs, but once phrasal verbs appear, they suddenly feel much less confident.
And I understand why. One small word can completely change the meaning.
Exactly. Sometimes the meaning feels quite logical, and sometimes it feels impossible to guess.
So let's start with the basics. What is a phrasal verb?
A phrasal verb is usually a normal verb plus a small word, often a particle like up, out, off, on, back, or down. Together, they create a new meaning.
So the verb may look familiar, but the full phrase means something different.
Exactly. For example, look is simple, but look for means search for. And take off can mean remove clothing, but it can also mean that a plane leaves the ground.
That's one reason learners find this topic difficult. One phrasal verb can even have more than one meaning.
Yes, and that makes them feel unpredictable.
So why are they so important?
Because they are everywhere in spoken English. Native speakers use them constantly in everyday conversation.
And that means if you don't know them well, real English becomes harder to understand.
Exactly. You can know grammar quite well and still struggle with listening if phrasal verbs keep appearing and you don't recognize them quickly enough.
So let's talk about logic. Is there any logic in phrasal verbs?
Sometimes, yes. Not always, but often enough to help. Some particles carry a kind of direction or feeling.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Up often suggests upward movement, activation, increase, or completion.
For example, wake up, grow up, pick up, speak up.
That makes sense. There's a feeling of rising or becoming active.
Exactly. And down often suggests reduction, movement downward, slowing, recording, or collapse.
For example, sit down, write down, slow down, break down.
What about on?
On often gives the feeling of continuation. For example, go on, carry on, keep on.
And off?
Off often suggests separation, removal, leaving, or disconnection. For example, take off, turn off, cut off, drop off.
So there is some logic, but only to a point.
Exactly. That's the important part. The patterns help, but they do not explain every phrasal verb perfectly.
So learners shouldn't expect to guess everything.
No, the patterns are useful clues, not perfect rules.
Then what's the best way to learn phrasal verbs?
In context. Learn them in real phrases and real situations, not as isolated items.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Yes, if you learn a phrasal verb inside a real sentence, you remember not only the meaning, but also how people actually use it. For example, don't give up. She gave up smoking. I found out yesterday. We need to find out what happened.
So the sentence gives you meaning and situation at the same time.
Exactly. That's much stronger than memorizing one translation on its own.
What about memorizing them? Is there a useful system?
Yes, I think there are two good ways. First, group them by base verb. For example, with take off, take on, take over, take up, take back, take down.
Second, group them by particle. For example, with up, wake up, grow up, pick up, give up, take up, set up.
That's very useful. One method shows how the verb expands, and the other shows how the particle behaves.
Exactly. Both help memory. So where should beginners start?
With the most common ones, the phrasal verbs that appear again and again in everyday English.
For example, wake up, get up, find out, go on, come back, sit down, turn on, turn off, pick up, give up.
That feels much more manageable than trying to learn dozens at once.
Yes, definitely. Start small, notice them often, and use them little by little. So, if someone asked you to explain phrasal verbs in one short message, what would you say?
I'd say phrasal verbs are a normal part of real everyday English. Some have useful logic, but all of them are easier to learn in context. Start with the common ones, group them well, and practice them often.
That's clear, simple, and realistic.
Yes, and that's really the key.
So, here's a simple way to think about it. Phrasal verbs are very common in real English. They are made from a normal verb and a small particle like up, out, off, or on. Sometimes the particle gives you a clue, but not always. The best way to learn phrasal verbs is in context. Start with common ones, group them well, and practice them often.
That's the main idea.
So, as you can see, phrasal verbs are not something you should avoid.
They are a normal and very important part of real spoken English.
Exactly, and when you learn them in context, notice the patterns, and organize them well, they become much easier.
And if you enjoy lessons like this, don't forget to subscribe.
It really helps the channel grow and helps more learners practice English in a natural way.
So keep learning, keep listening, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Bye!